Hi, welcome to Let's Unpack This.
Hi, Lenore.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. How are
Good,
you?
good, good.
So tell me, we've been so eager to talk about this Alex Cooper documentary. Tell me what your thoughts are, your feelings. Tell us everything.
So, first of all, Alex Cooper is a very famous podcaster. She's very young, very attractive. She gets all the big names, right?
Mhm.
Just in case anybody out there is not familiar.
Oh my goodness. And she has transitioned so seamlessly from being known as kind of the hot blonde at Barstool to being a really well-known interviewer. She tackles mental health topics really great for this generation, I feel like. And yes, she has definitely made her mark. She interviewed Kamala Harris this year, which I think also broadened her viewership to maybe just not the one track of girls that were listening to her.
Absolutely. Yeah. You definitely should tune into Armchair Experts to listen to the Dax Shepard, Alex Cooper podcast. But we were just so taken by it. Today, we're going to dive into the topic that she dove into, which is gingerism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a lifelong redhead, I was like, oh, wow, there's a name to the thing that happened to me growing up.
Wow. Let's just start there. How did that feel? One, that someone was talking about it on a bigger scale, and two, there's a name for it.
There's a name for it. So I kind of felt validated
Mm-hmm.
because, my whole life I've always felt alone.
Yeah.
And there just aren't a lot of us around. So when you're young, you look around for, okay, who looks like me? Where's my tribe? Where are my friends? I want to be like everybody else. I want to dress like everybody else. I want to be like everybody else.
Yeah. And those of you that haven't seen the documentary or listened to the podcast, Alex got bullied quite a bit
Pretty
for
pretty violently.
pretty violently. I was going to say, I don't even know if bullying's a significant enough word, but pretty violently just for being a redhead. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I would say she was physically abused for
Yes.
being a redhead. They gathered around her, covered her with a coats, and slammed her head into the ground so violently, saying put the fire out because of her red hair, that she had a pretty bad concussion and didn't tell anyone because she felt, what do you think, shame, Melissa?
Oh, I think shame, embarrassment. And I think she thought I can handle it. You know, she went to the nurse's
Right.
station. She was in middle school. They told her, you're fine, walk it off. Remember, she's a lifelong athlete. So there's some of that too of walk it off, you're good,
You're
you're
good.
good.
Yeah.
You just got hit a little too hard. But no, she really didn't bring her parents into the fold of how much she was struggling with the bullying at school. But the kids, specifically the boys, were very violent about her red hair. And she says, while she had good relationships with the girls, they were at the age where they didn't want to stick up to the boys. They wanted to be
Right.
welcomed by the boys and liked. So she really was on an island by herself.
And anybody that's different, I mean, you might say, well, you're minimizing it. Red hair, what's the big deal? But, there are only like maybe 2% of the population has red hair. If you're an albino, you're certainly going to be bullied. If you just don't look the same as everyone else, this is what happens. This is where discrimination comes from, right?
Yeah, and it's not always always obvious where discrimination lives. It's where people are perceived to be different. So I think you make a good point. Whatever the difference is in your community or your neighborhood, there does appear to be separation, discrimination, kind of pushing people out. Why do you think human nature's like that?
I don't know. I think it's like maybe it's a belonging thing. Maybe it's a self-esteem thing. Maybe it's a tribal thing. You're not part of our tribe. You're not part of our community. I don't know. But being a redhead, there was always an element of shameful sexuality with it because pubic hair was always part of the shaming and the bullying.
You know what? That's so true. That's so true. And again, that tie into sexuality being bad. We talked about that on a prior podcast, but you're right. Every time a ginger or a redhead, there's some kind of slur, it does tie back into sexuality.
Fire crotch. Are you red under the hood? I can't tell you how many times I heard that. And as a 13-year-old or a 16-year-old, you immediately feel okay, now I'm talking about something sexual, a body part that I want to keep private with somebody who I don't even know, or
Yeah.
somebody who's kind of poking fun at it.
Oh, yeah. It's not being spoken about in a praised way or an
No.
accolade way. Yeah. So you were telling me 90% of red-haired men in the UK report having been bullied for their hair color. Now, let's think about that. 90% reported it. That doesn't mean only 90% are being abused. Those are just the people coming forward.
Those are just the people coming
So
forward.
that's a staggering number. And 60% of males and 47% of females with red hair report discrimination. That is wild.
Absolutely, because not only is our hair color different, our skin is usually freckled or
Mhm.
mottled. And I remember growing up and thinking, oh, why can't I just have like tan color? Why do I have to have so many freckles? Why do I have to look like this? And you were definitely singled out and you definitely did feel different.
Mm.
We were also saddled with, oh, you must have a temper. Oh, you have
Mm.
red hair. You must be angry.
Mhm.
I'm kind of the opposite of that. I'm pretty
Yeah.
laid back, but
Pretty chill.
yeah,
But these
there's that.
assumptions, yeah. So Alex talked about as a kid going to her mom and saying, please let me just put a couple blonde highlights in my hair. That's how it started, just a subtle wanting to tamper it
Yeah.
down. And, the mom, to her credit, allowed her because she wanted her to have that autonomy. But even the hairdresser was like, don't touch this beautiful hair. Because as adults, we can appreciate the gorgeousness of it. But as a kid, I just don't want to be different.
I just don't want to be different. Yeah. And I think what was interesting was during the podcast, she lost her identity.
Oh,
I mean, during her life,
yeah.
as she shared, she lost who she was as a person because all she was trying to do was not be that red.
Right. And I think as we're talking, I'm sure there's some people rolling their eyes saying, okay, it's just your hair color. People have it hard or whatever that rhetoric might be. But imagine I'm not welcomed for who I am. I'm not welcomed or accepted for who I am to my core. Boys are gathering around, physically assaulting me. The girls don't want to be around me because I have freckles or this or that. It goes way deeper than a hair color that you could just dye or change. That kind of goes to your core belief, right?
It definitely goes to your core belief. Or a lot of times, redheads are cast in roles that are you are the bad person, you are the mistress, you are not the wife.
Mm-hmm.
You are the one that caused all the problems. You are, I'm sure there's evidence that they were the witches.
Yes.
To do some research into that.
Yes, yes. Well, and you even talked to me about Mary Magdalene being depicted, as a redhead.
As a
And
redhead.
there's a lot of lore around Mary Magdalene. So you're right. It is a consistent trope that you see assigned to people with that.
It's definitely a consistent. So it dates back centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And, some people call it the last socially acceptable form of bullying.
Ugh. Why do we have any acceptable forms of bullying?
That's a good question. Why do we have any acceptable forms of bullying?
It's so upsetting. But I was really taken aback at how powerful that is and how as a kid that negative core belief can start so innocently, right?
Yes.
Something you can't control, your
Yes.
hair, your skin, and how it perpetuates into your life. And like you're saying, people at work or at school or in your personal life say, well, you're a hothead, or you're this, or you're that. And how do you combat that? Like you've had that personal experience of
you don't have anyone to turn to. There is nobody in your school that has red hair. There's nobody else in your town that has red hair. It's so rare.
And do you did any of your siblings have red hair, or were you the only one?
My siblings did have red hair, so I think I had it a little easier because I had that. But I have clients that have been the only redhead.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when people look at you and they say, well, you must be, the joke.
Yeah.
You must be the so-and-so's daughter, not your father's daughter.
The mailman's daughter. Right? Isn't that a horrible joke? But even having your siblings, maybe your family was known as, oh, they're the redheads, or they're this, they're that, not by your last name.
Absolutely. We could not get away with anything in my town because it's like, well, the redhead did it. Okay, that's one of three in the whole town.
Eyes on you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of just keep going back to people thought it was acceptable to physically assault her just because of her hair. I think that really concerns me that we have this in our culture, such a fear of being different, that different must equal bad and bad must equal push out
That
or
is
burn.
really, you're right. Why is different bad? Why can't different be good?
I think that speaks to a much larger issue, right? That we have in
Absolutely.
our worlds. But yeah, so Alex did a great job of talking about this, and it's going to lead into more stuff we're talking about. But over time, she went from just doing blonde highlights to then when she got to high school, dyeing her hair completely blonde. And anyone who's seen pictures of Alex Cooper in the early days of Call Her Daddy, bleach blonde hair, real big, real long, real beautiful, but a huge change from being a really tiny, I think she called herself gangly. Those are her words, not mine. Kid with red hair, freckles. She got a lot of spray tan, big blonde hair, and she said, "Hey, I'm a different person
The interesting part was she was treated differently. Now,
now." Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if that's just because she was in ninth grade at that point, and everybody kind of looks better in ninth grade,
Mhm.
really. But she said boys instantly were attracted to her. She said it was like night and day.
Well, I believe it. I believe it, right? We just talked about no one likes to be different. So, does a boy want to be with the only girl that's different in the class, or does he want to be with all the other hot blondes?
Or does a boy only want to be with the hot blondes? I mean,
Right,
we
right.
know like hot
Yeah.
blondes are the thing, right?
Well, that even goes to what the phrase blondes have more fun. As a lifelong brunette, I always heard that blondes have more fun.
Blondes have
Okay.
more fun, or the German ideal of blonde hair and blue eyes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, this idea of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I think definitely carried on. And she talks about it in then when she went to dating, it was like, I'm going to draw these men in and then I'm going to reject them because I've been so used to being rejected and put down.
That was fascinating. That part was fascinating. She said, I want to be in control and I'm going to make sure you can't have me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious if any of this is resonating with you guys. Like, what parts of your life have felt one, out of control, and two, how you have adapted to that?
How you've adapted to even your safety, your survival. How have you adapted?
And I think we often look at like maladaptive behaviors, right? But there, which would be what you might consider negative or unfavorable, but we also just adapt. So even something as simple as I don't like freckles, putting concealer on for the sole purpose of covering that up is adaptation, right?
Absolutely. I've adapted because I'm not a person who wears flashy colors. I just don't want to be looked at because I feel like my red hair is enough to make me stand out. So I was never one to wear like a lot of jewelry or dangling earrings. And so we all adapt. And, people might say, well, again, a minor problem, but it carries bigger problems into your confidence, into your future, into what you think you're capable of.
And that's what it is. It's what's the deeper problem it carries. It's not about just one thing that you could change. It's the deeper things that go to your core. And it's so funny how you look at yourself versus others. When I met Lenore, one of the things that I loved about her was her red hair. She had such a when I met Lenore, she was so intelligent and so I felt like I connected with her right away. But I've always loved your red hair. We've never talked about
Let's be
it.
clear, it's from a bottle now. My choice now.
Your choice now. Oh, but see, that's adaptation.
My
choice now.
Yeah, my choice now.
Love that. So think about what are your choices now in your life? What have you taken and either adapted or maladapted? Lenore and I are going to keep this conversation going in part 2 because we want to get into some of the abuse cycle in the next episode and really talk about grooming and the subtle signs of abuse, right?
That's next. Yeah. But I wanted to add one more thing. When you're looking at 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds and you're an adult, you're coming from a way different place. Like just kind of get over it. But I remember being that age thinking, maybe I'll get bleach and put it on my skin and it will make my freckles go away. This is what a 12-year-old thinks.
Oh my goodness. And as you said that, thinking from like an 11 and a 12-year-old point of view, I was a sensitive kid. I wasn't getting over anything. Like if I didn't get invited to the sleepover, my I was crushed, let
Yeah.
alone if someone was calling me sexually derogative names, you know? So I think that's an excellent point. Looking at it through an adult lens,
Right.
but as a kid, you're dealing with the neural pathways of an 11 or 12-year-old. You are not equipped.
And it's devastating.
So
It,
that
it,
sounds right to bleach my skin. That'll
Yeah.
fix the problem.
yeah. Thank God I never followed through on
Thank
that.
God.
I enough sense on that one.
Oh,
But we're looking forward to talking next time. And if you do have a chance, Alex Cooper, my hat's off to you, but I do wish you'd go back to Red, Alex.
well, I'm wondering if she might because I see her letting a little bit of brown come in and a little bit of dark. So I do hope she goes back to red. But Lenore, what do you always tell me?
What do I always say? Everything's going to be okay.
You always tell me, don't worry about
Don't
it.
worry about it. Everything's going to work out.
Yeah, I love that. So something for us to all remember.
And Alex, you've got 5 good years left on that red hair, so do it.
Do it now, Alex.